Welcome back to the Fic List, everybody.
Oh, we're launching into it. Oh shoot.
Oh, we're launching into it.
I was so thrown off. I was still playing with settings on my end. I was like, ooh, what does this do?
I just really wanted to see what would happen because I knew you weren't paying attention. And I was like, I'll gently set Ellen up for failure here.
That's a good metaphor for what usually happens. They're like, oh, it's happening. Here we go.
It's like, oh, okay.
I don't like you.
I know. I love you too. It's fine. I'm in a bit of a mood today.
Yeah, Aaron, why?
Yeah, I just haven't seen anybody in a while, so it's like I've forgotten how to human. I had to go so this is true. I have an ear piercing that is like almost a year old. It's like a cartilage piercing.
Ooh.
And it's been really finicky. It had a ring in it, and you're really not supposed to get a ring put in when you first get a piercing, and I just ignored that bit of wisdom, which was dumb. So I had to go get it switched out for a stud because it wasn't healing right. And that was probably my first like in-person interaction outside of like the grocery store and like my partner that I've had in like months. And I was like, oh, I don't know how to human anymore. Like I have fully forgotten the social interaction scripts that we're supposed to have in our brains.
Well, what an adventure.
Yep. You were not as amused by that story as I had hoped you would be, so it's probably going to get cut.
I'm sorry, do you want to take it from the top? And
No,
I'll give
because
a better reaction.
I don't think it's going to get better upon retelling. It was like, oh, I could feel, comedians often talk about like flop sweat. And I was like, Alan doesn't think I'm funny.
I do think you're funny. I just don't think that like this situation is something that it's like everyone. I find myself not knowing how to interact with people anymore. And I live with two people currently because one of them has left.
Oh, no. Forever and ever? Or just
no.
For now?
Well, I mean, she's gone for the foreseeable future.
Got it.
until we know what happens. But
that makes sense. Okay. I was wondering if she was ever going to come back.
I hope she signed a legally binding lease.
Well.
So she should be.
All right. Well, I hope she comes back.
You and me both.
Yeah. Anyway.
Speaking
of legally binding contracts, what's our fic for today, Alan?
What a great segue. Oh my god.
I am the best.
So this is our general tag week.
Woohoo!
So we decided we'd do some proposal fics.
Yeah. Who doesn't love a proposal fic? I mean, honestly. Like
people who are jaded and maybe have had a divorce or two.
Okay. All right. That was a little darker than I thought we were going to go. But, okay. Well, if proposal fic is not for you, then maybe skip this episode. But I love proposal fic.
It's so good. Although I always cry.
Yeah, well, you cry all the time.
That's true.
Because you are a soft boy. But what do you look for in a proposal fic? And, like, why are they so fun?
Okay, so this is an interesting question. Because I found that for proposal fic, I kind of like it. If it's going to be a proposal fic, in my opinion, the fic should revolve around marriage and, like, the thought of proposing and, like, leading up to the act of proposing. Mm-hmm. So I'm not counting stories that are, like, you know, like long and like are slow burn or enemies to friends to lovers, and then there's a proposal at the end. Like that's not a proposal fic. That's many things, but it's not specifically a proposal fic. So for me, I need the fic to be about the proposal, about the planning of the proposal. I love a proposal fic that gives you like where essentially everything goes wrong. Where they're like, all right, we're gonna have a picnic in Paris, and right at the time that the stars align, I will pull out the ring and there'll be tears in his eyes and all of that. And then it just doesn't happen for one reason or another. Someone breaks a toe and then they have to go to a hospital, and then they're in the hospital bed, and when the partner's crying, it's like, I thought I was gonna lose you, marry me, you know?
You broke a toe, I thought you were gonna die.
Exactly. I don't know infection.
You're like, I'm not a doctor.
I've never broken a toe. I can't speak to the experience.
Oh my god. I mean, it's not fun. I haven't fully broken a toe, but I've come close.
Oof.
Yeah, it's not bueno. That's hilarious. I also love a good surprise proposal fic. I love fics that you don't know are proposal fics until it happens.
Oh, I don't know that I've come across those.
The best example of this, I couldn't send it to you because our next episode was one that I just like had to give you a magician's fic for, otherwise I was gonna like die. So for this one I had to give you a different fandom, but HMG Fanfic wrote a sequel to Something Good, which is the fic that destroys everybody emotionally.
Oh my god.
It's them like many years later traveling through the countryside in Europe.
I remember when we did the episode, I started reading it and I got like, she was like 3 or 4 chapters in.
Yeah. I'm gonna ruin it for you then.
It's
I think
okay.
I just did. Okay.
Well, it's too late now.
So you go through this fic and it's like the most incredible, like realistic little slice of life of what this relationship would be like 7 years later. And 3/4 of the way through, Quentin proposes and you realize that this was like a setup to a proposal the entire time, but I had no idea. And it was exactly what you just described, where like everything that could possibly go wrong goes wrong, and they're both really bitchy and like mad at each other, but like in a way of like, you know, somebody that you're super comfortable with, where you're just like, Jesus fuck balls Christ, like I need some space, but like I love you very dearly. I'm just like grouchy because like they're in this like shitty like Airbnb in the middle of like nowhere Europe, and their car breaks down and they have to walk and it's hot and they're really miserable. And Quentin's like, I just really want to marry you. And Elliot's like, that's great, but also it's really fucking hot out. And I cried forever. I think it was one of those few moments in fanfic where I audibly gasped out loud.
I'm like, crying right now.
I know, you're always crying.
It's
so
rude.
That but true. That was that's the kind of proposal fic that I really enjoy, where it's like, I think as opposed to your interpretation where it was like, oh, this is, you know, we're really thinking about this and like being really thoughtful about it. It's like, oh, surprise proposal fic, and you kind of experience the surprise with the person.
Yeah,
I think that's really
literally have never come across that.
Yeah, it's rare. It's rare that I experience it, but when I do, it's just like, oh, that's the best.
Oh man, wow. I'm feeling emotions.
I know.
Just thinking about about Something Good, and like,
yep.
I'm so glad our boys got a good ending.
I know, it's so good. Harriet, do you want to be on this podcast?
Harriet, please come on this podcast so that I may cry to you for half an hour.
Yeah,
I know you probably already heard it. So.
It'll just be half an hour, Malin going, and Harriet being like, "This is the most awkward experience of my entire life."
0 out of 10 would not come on again.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. But actually, if you want, I'll email you. Anyway.
So what do you look for in a proposal fic? What do you like in a proposal fic? I know you've just said that you're surprised.
What did I just say to you? Alan wasn't listening at all.
Oh, I was crying. I couldn't hear you over the sound of my sobs.
Okay. Well, surprises. And it's actually really funny because me personally, I would murder someone who proposed to me as a surprise if we did not have a conversation about it in the beginning. And frankly, I don't really want to get married anyway. I think marriage as an institution is kind of fucked up.
Oof, okay.
The only reason I would get married is for the legal protections of it, but I am not religious I'm not a religious person, and I think marriage as an institution exists largely to like consolidate property in a patrilineal way, which I think is fucked. So I'm like, nah, I could kind of do without this. Like, unless we're talking about like being better able to like buy property, I don't really see the point here.
Oh my god, we're the best people to talk about marriage, about proposal fic.
I know, but I will fight to the death for everybody's right to get married that wants to. Like, that's a thing.
Yeah.
Just because I personally don't want to get married doesn't mean that I don't understand why it's super important for, like, I don't know, a Supreme Court to maintain the right of all people to get married. Hint, fucking hint. So yeah, anyway, we don't have to go down that road, but oh boy. Yeah, everybody should be able to get married if they want to, but I just don't. So I like the proposal element because it's fun and fantasy, and it's like not anything that I would ever really want to have happen to me, but it is kind of fun to like live vicariously through these other people who are
that is fascinating because you love proposal fic.
I do love proposal fic. I think it's fun.
Wow, I don't. It's just interesting because I feel like a lot of times when we like fics, or I say we like not just you and I, but like the royal we like fics because it like gives us well, maybe not we. I live vicariously through fan fiction, so I like to read about things that are not happening to me. I would like to be proposed to on a cruise.
You're like, hello, future Spouse.
If any of the listeners are interested, you go ahead and email the ficlist@gmail.com.
Yeah. Here's the trick. Must propose on a cruise. However, when our cruise is going to happen again, we don't know.
Exactly. So then the trick now is
time.
that you have to charter a private, like, cruise.
Wow.
And then we go on a private cruise, and then you propose.
Is that part of your dowry?
Oh. I don't have a dowry.
Yeah, my dowry is mostly credit card debt.
True.
Anyway. Yeah, no, I think we've talked about this too. Like, I think fan fiction can be wish fulfillment, which is very much like a thing that you want to have happen to you in real life that you are living vicariously through. But I also think we've talked about this in terms of like particularly really smutty fan fiction, where there is an element of like fantasy not having to translate to real life.
Mm-hmm.
Where I think for me sometimes the fan fiction element of like something that's like hyper romantic and hype whatever, like I don't need that to happen to me in real life to still enjoy the fantasy of it, because there's elements of it, particularly the ones that do really well. It's like a really loving and committed relationship where there's good communication and it's like really grounded in this bedrock of what I think a really great relationship can be. Like, that is all stuff that I want to have in real life. I just don't, I don't want a surprise engagement is the thing. So it's like, yeah, it's like there's a fantasy element of it that's just very like romantic in the same way that a rom-com or like, the Pride and Prejudice movie with Keira Knightley is very romantic. Would I want it to happen to me? No, but it's very romantic.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Do you want to start?
With what you sent me?
Yeah. Because I forget what I sent you, so it'd be nice to be reminded.
Sure, let's see. Oh man, Aaron, if you'd known the week I had.
Oh no.
Okay, so here, okay, let's start. You sent me a red, white, and royal blue fanfic.
Yeah, I did.
Entitled "How We Rolled Up the Carpet," parentheses, so we could dance, by Adhuri. It is on Archive of Our Own, and the summary reads, Henry shrugs off his suit jacket and tie, looking his usual annoyingly handsome self, while Alex stifles a yawn in spite of the amount of caffeine in his system. You're a sight for sore eyes, Henry says, looking all kinds of fond. Alex feels a little ridiculous in his tousled hair, glasses, and the ratty NYU sweatshirt, but finds an answering warmth spreading through him anyway as he lets himself be kissed hello. Hi, sweetheart, he says, leaning back into the chair while Henry leans against the desk. And that's the summary. So
yeah, I mean, it's an excerpt summary.
It is definitely an excerpt summary. Red, White, and Royal Blue, which, by the way, if you are not familiar, is a brilliant... Which, by the way, if you're not familiar with Red, White, and Royal Blue, it is a...
I was like, did he forget the word book? He did.
No, it's just, I was... This mic is too powerful, and the things it picks up is worrying. I was, like, sweeping some, like, lint off of my desk. I was like, oh, and then I could hear... And then you could hear that. I don't know if... Can you hear that?
I can now when you're not talking, but I definitely thought you just forgot the word book.
I could hear it so clearly because I have my headphones plugged into my mic, and so I could hear that like under my voice, and I was like, well, now I've got to do another take.
Okay, well, you go ahead and do another take, but I'm going to leave this whole interaction in the episode because it's funny.
Well, depending on who edits, we'll see what remains.
That's true.
So for anyone who might not know what Red, White, and Royal Blue is, it's a wonderful, brilliant male-on-male romance that takes place between what is the first son of the United States and one of the crown princes in the royal family from Britain. It is a wonderful book that I borrowed from Erin, and I still have her copy, and I have not forgotten.
I was going to use this as an opportunity to publicly call you out for not returning that book to me. How many months later?
We are in a pandemic, man.
Okay, but this was like long before pandemic happened.
Which brings me to my next point. It is a wonderful book, which I have not finished.
Jesus Christ, Alan. This is worse than any TV or movie that you haven't finished. Alan.
So,
Alan. No. You don't get a fucking pass for this. What excuse do you have for not finishing this goddamn book?
All right, here we go. So, what had happened was that, okay, so this was the book I was, like, reading. It was, like, my good, like, it's still on my Goodreads. It's the one I was reading on the train to work and back home right when we transitioned into working from home. So then I stopped riding the train, and of course the world went to shit.
Yep.
So then I was too stressed, and I was like, there's too many things going on. And I didn't read. I haven't been reading. So I was like, okay. So I stopped reading, and I was like, I still have it. I will finish it. I'm halfway through. That's fine. And then, time ran away from me, because what is time during this?
That's real. Time has no meaning.
And then I saw that you chose this, and I was like, fuck! Damn it, okay, I have to read this. Okay. And I picked it up, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna read this. I was super excited. I even went back to like the start of the chapter, because of course I stopped somewhere in the middle where I didn't remember.
Right.
So I opened it, and then I was like 10 minutes in, and my roommate comes in and says, RBG has passed away.
Oh, no. Yeah.
And then I closed it.
And then you were like, I can't enjoy anything right now.
Correct. And then we think about, like, one of the plot points in the book is how Alex's mom is up for re-election.
Right.
And so I was like...
Yeah. And it definitely, that book was written in anticipation of a Hillary Clinton presidency, like in a world where like we have the first woman president, and that hurts.
Yep.
Given the current. Okay, I rescind all sassafras from earlier in the episode, even though I stand by the fact that it was funny at the time, but now I'm sad.
It is very funny, but I was like, damn. So this is a book that I will fucking read the moment the world has stopped burning. Who knows when that will happen, but soon. So
you'll never finish it, is what you're saying.
No, it is my personal vendetta. Now I'm like, I'm invested.
Okay.
Which, I was from the beginning, and I was going to, but it's just like...
It's such a you book. It's such a book that you would love.
And I think, in fact, one of the things I remember when I was having trepidation reading it, and I think I was telling you because I was texting you as I was reading it, is so Alex, the main character in the book, is Mexican American from Texas, which, hello, it's me.
You were like, hello, you could not have picked a more perfect self-insert character.
Correct. And so that was terrifying in a way that I was like, I don't... Because it's happened before where I'm reading, like, fan fiction, which also this book reads fan fiction. It's like, it's written almost in that vein. By, like, you just know that Casey McQuiston is a fan fiction writer. Like, you just feel it.
Absolutely. It's great.
And so it's happened to me before when I'm reading fan fiction that, like, sometimes I get too self-inserted and I have trouble pulling away, and so it's hard. And I talked to James about it once, and he was like, yeah, it's hard because you're grieving the end of... You felt all those things, and now you don't have them anymore, so you're grieving. And so I find and that was this is months later, so I did not have that tool, that arsenal to know what was happening to me at the time. So I was already very nervous about going into a very loving, like, wonderful relationship between a gay Mexican American from Texas and this beautiful prince, Yeah. So it was a lot.
Yeah.
I have a very interesting relationship with this book, and I cannot wait to finish reading it, which I will. But that's not what we're talking about.
Well, you deserve a prince, Alan, and therefore this book is a great placeholder until your prince comes along in real life.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
If any prince listens to this podcast, please email the ficlist@gmail.com.
Let us reiterate the private chartered yacht situation that Alan outlined earlier in the day as his only acceptable method of proposal.
Correct.
You would have to be royalty to be able to afford that.
All inquiries, please.
Please be routed to our representatives.
Oh, man. So, okay. But we're talking about how we rolled up the carpet, parentheses, so we could dance.
Yes.
This fic. The tags say tooth rotting fluff. This is really just weapons grade fluff. And I was like, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I loved it. It was so like, it was like putting on a warm blanket. And I was so worried because I was like, shit, it's going to spoil things for me. And I was like, I'm going to read this before I read this fic. But of course, the world went to shit. So I was like, I can't do it. And I was like, fuck it. I have to read this. I'm very pleasantly surprised. I don't think it didn't spoil anything other than like one event that happens in the book, which I have not gotten to. But I'm like, okay, like I can live with knowing that. And it's my own damn fault. So...
Yeah, I mean, to be
so
fair,
I was very happy with
reasonable expectations that you had finished the book at this point, and we're just holding on to my copy of the book.
No.
You're like, oh, no.
No. But yeah, that being said, it did not spoil anything for me, and I was very grateful for it. Or maybe it did, and it's just like one of those things that I don't understand because I haven't finished the book. But It starts with Alex kind of being on like 3 days of no sleep and studying because he's in law school and he has like an outline for a paper due in 2 days and he has like 200 pages of reading, which was stressful. I was like, ah.
Yeah, the secondhand stress is real.
Accurate. So he's subsisting on a diet of coffee and granola bars. That's all he's eaten for a few days. And Henry has been out doing like press events. And he comes home, they're living in an apartment together. And Henry like sees him and is like, all right, you need to eat, sir. So they like have a really cute scene where they make some eggs and they subsist together. They co-live in the kitchen together. And I love scenes where people cook together. It's a weakness of mine.
Yeah, it's super domestic fluff. Like, that's a very... Also, speaking of things that I don't actually like in real life, in fic it's adorable. In real life, I'm like, get the fuck out of my way.
How did I know?
I'm like, excuse me, my kitchen is not designed for two people.
Like, I stand at the doorway not going into your kitchen, just watching you cook and knowing, like, I can't walk in there.
Correct. No, that's my space. Like, stay out of my way. But yeah, it is super cute in fic because it's also just, like, so domestic and so sweet.
Yeah, but I think one of the things about, like, sharing a kitchen is, like, finding someone who isn't just dead weight and, like, asking, oh, what do I do? But, like, has their own rhythm that coincides with yours. And so it's, like, dancing. And I love that.
Yeah. I wouldn't have been able to pinpoint that myself, but you're right. I think why I dislike people in my kitchen is that I then have to become a task manager instead of just like doing my thing. So if you can find a person who you don't have to like task manage, mwah, it's great.
Exactly. So they have a lovely little montage of that. And then Henry says, you are so stressed. Why don't we go to Austin for the long weekend? What long weekend? I don't know. I don't think they mentioned.
Pick your long weekend.
Yeah. And Alex is like, like tomorrow, like we leave tomorrow. And Henry's like, yep. And Alex says, well, I have this and this to do. And then Henry very correctly points out, well, you can bring your work with you and just do it on the plane. And, you know, I can work on my manuscript. And Alex, of course, is like, okay, sure. And so they go to Austin for a long weekend. And what more can I say other than it's literally domestic fluff? They go to Austin. They have some cuddles. They have some chocolate. They sit on a porch swing. One thing, I can't do a British accent, so obviously I'm not going to.
Do it.
I cannot. But one of the things, there's a part where Henry's like, oh, and we can make elotes, which is like corn, like prepared corn in a Mexican way. And I would have killed to hear like that in a British accent. And like Alex points out, I loved hearing Elotes in his accent.
Yeah. Someone with a British accent, please podfic that paragraph of this for us, please.
Please.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Aaron, should we do podfic next episode?
I feel like we need to do podfic eventually, but have I ever listened to a podfic? Absolutely not.
Same.
Like, no, it's going to take longer than, you know, however many weeks in between recordings it's for me to like find things because I don't listen to them.
That's the other point. Yeah, that's a good point. I wonder if you can search fics and then read it and then try to look for a podfic. That sounds convoluted, but
yeah, maybe.
Anyway,
I don't know. Also, I only listen to podcasts I'm in, and I hate audiobooks, so I feel like me and podfic is like destined to fail.
Oh man, we'll have a whole other crossover.
Yeah. Oh, that's a lie. I do listen to Evelyn's podcast now too. Like, one of our listeners and one of my friends on Twitter, Evelyn, has a podcast that's really great that I listen to. So that's the first podcast that I listen to that's not my own.
What's the podcast?
It's called Fillory and Father.
Oh.
And it's Evelyn and their dad going back through the magicians from episode 1 on. And Evelyn is very, like, has read all the books and knows all of the, like, fan stuff and knows all the behind the scenes stuff. So Evelyn, like, knows their shit. And then their dad is just like, this is bullshit. This is unclear. Why is this what happened? Like, why did they make this decision? It would all be better if they just talked to each other. And Evelyn is like, wah!
I am the dad in that scenario, and you are.
Oh my god, Scott
Evelyn.
Rogers is Scott Rogers is a gift. So shout out to Evelyn for being a delight, and that podcast for being very, very fun.
That's wonderful. Okay, so back to this fic. So it's literally all domestic fluff. They cook, they cuddle, they sit on porch swings watching the sunset. They cuddle while it's raining outside, and I felt so personally victimized. I was like, who went into my brain and found literally what I want?
Oh my god.
And of course I read this at like 1 a.m. last night, like curled up in like a blanket burrito.
Yep. I've done that,
man.
where you're just like, oh no.
It's so good. And it ends with them, they're sitting on the porch swing again, eating grilled cheese and tomato soup.
Who doesn't love that combo?
And out of nowhere, Alex just starts thinking about how Henry has changed his life and how he seems to fit. Like, that's what he emphasizes. He straddles Henry and says, you know, you fit right here in my life, in my family, in my heart. Mm-hmm. And then asks, you know, I don't have a ring or anything, but will you marry me? And Henry is like, what?
Yeah.
And Henry is so taken aback. He's like, of course I'll marry you, but you couldn't wait just one more day. And then Alex is like, what?
Yeah. They both caught each other in a hua.
Yeah. And then Henry pulls out the ring that Alex thought were his AirPods. And he was like, I was going to ask you tomorrow. And then they get engaged. And that's the end of the fic. And they're all crying. I'm crying.
Yep. My favorite is it's a quintessential fanfic thing where there's a line of dialogue that's just "oh," and the next to it is an italicized "oh." And I was like, if a fanfic doesn't have an italicized "oh," is it really a fanfic? That's what gets you?
I had never thought about it, but it's so true.
It happens in every
the O
fanfic.
followed by the italicized O.
Yep. It's the moment of realization "oh," and it's such a thing.
Oh man, the italicized O is really the star of the fic.
Yeah. It's like, oh.
Oh. Incredible.
Yeah.
I want us to get buttons out of this.
Yeah. Parentheses.
Ooh, our button should just be the italicized O.
Yeah. Oh, the Fic List.
The Fic List.
Incredible.
So yeah, it's very cute and very sweet and wonderful. And something I really appreciated about this fic is that interspiced with all of the scenes of domesticity, there is like letters from people throughout history who are like essentially saying I love you. And the first few were queer, and I was like, yes, and then they tapered off, and I was like, well, that's history for you.
We went out.
Yeah, that's true.
We went out. We came out strong, and then we just kind of petered out.
Yeah, so like the first one was between Lorena Hickok and Eleanor Roosevelt in 1933, and then the next one is like Georges Villiers to King James VI, and it's like they're so good. So like I'll read this one because it's really short. It's from Georges Villiers to King James, and it says, "I naturally so love your person and adore all your other parts, which are more than ever one man had."
Yeah.
And it's just like I appreciated how it showed that love is kind of different for everyone. Like, and it was so good. It was such a nice touch. It was like, bravo. I loved it.
You know that's from the book, right?
Is it?
Yeah, that's a conceit from the book.
I don't remember.
That's a conceit from their emails back and forth where they send each other historical love notes.
Oh.
I'm positive if you got halfway through the book, then you should.
Oh, fuck me gently with a chainsaw. Now, God damn it.
Sorry. I mean, it's delightful. It is a wonderful use of that canon thing. Like, I totally agree with you that it's delightful. I was just like, I think Alan doesn't realize that wasn't just like a thing this author decided to do.
No, yeah. I forgot. Well, I'm angry because this means I have to reread the whole thing, which is not a bad thing, but it just means that I'm way more behind than I would have thought.
Well, maybe it's possible that it doesn't happen until after. Maybe they haven't started doing that yet.
No, because this sounds familiar. Like, now it's tickling like the back of my... Okay, I'll reread the whole book.
Sorry, I didn't mean to ruin your whole life.
That's okay.
I mean, I kind of did. That's like my whole shtick, but...
It was my fault. But regardless, it was very well done here, and I loved it.
Great.
Yeah.
Hooray.
I don't know what else I can say about it.
I don't know that there's much else to say, except what your rating is.
My rating would be... Okay. I would give it a 4 out of 5.
A 4 out of 5. That was a very thoughtful 4 out of 5.
Because oftentimes I come, like, you know how sometimes, well, maybe this doesn't happen to you because you go with your immediate thought, but you have your immediate thought.
You're like, you don't really do this because you don't really think before you speak, but...
I just mean that you have already organized your thought and your verdict before we start talking, and I have not.
Cute backtrack. Keep talking.
Shall I read you a romantic historical letter to diffuse the situation?
No, it's fine. What were you gonna say?
So, I had a number pops up in my head, and then I have to stop and think like, okay, why? Can you defend that? Okay, cool. So 4 out of 5. Yeah.
Yeah, I think 4 out of 5 makes sense. I forgot that I sent this to you. And I definitely picked it, one, because I thought you had finished the book already, which I should never trust that as an instinct. I think I just need to like accept that you are not going to have seen or read the thing that I've sent you.
That I'm not cultured.
And then when
correct.
I came, well, that's not what I said.
That's what you meant.
No. Why are we both being so shady to each other?
It's been so long.
I know, it's been a long time. Anyway, when I went back and sort of re-looked at this yesterday, when I was like, what did I send him? I forget. I remember just this being so sweet and so in keeping with the style of the original narrative, which was like, I could see this being the sequel to this book, which is quite a feat, because the original, like, the source material is so good that I was like, okay, this feels like very authentic to what the source of it is. Also, it's just really cute. And like, I also, oh my god, have you watched those videos on YouTube of like one person gets down, usually queer people, one person gets down on their knee and proposes, and the, other person has the ring in their back pocket, and they both propose to each other at the same time. I was like, that
usually at Disney. Usually
at Disney. Occasionally it's at like a weird fountain or something.
True. And
I was like, I live when that happens. Like, it is, my little queer heart just goes a pitter patter. So I was like, this is the fic equivalent of that moment.
Accurate.
So I was like, okay, cool. And I love that shit. So I was like, Alan will like it, and also I'll break his little heart. So it'll be great.
Correct on all fronts. Correct on all fronts. Yep. Oh man. Yeah, I did think about those videos. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yep.
What a, like that is the best answer you could get. Like,
yeah.
Even like someone saying yes is not as good a feeling as knowing that someone was so, it's such a yes, they were already planning on doing the thing.
Right. Not only are they saying yes to you, they had thought about it and come to the same conclusion of wanting to be married independently of you even asking. Presumably, I also think that all people should, like, if you're going to get married, you should have a conversation beforehand about like what you would want, like what that proposal stuff looks like and all that.
Oh yeah.
But there is something profoundly sweet about that kind of situation where it's like,
agreed.
You know, and that they were carrying that around like on their person, ready
agreed.
To pop that
Agreed.
question. Like, that's pretty great.
Yeah, good job.
Yay.
Good job, Ed. Who are you?
Well
I loved
done.
it.
Perfect. Amazing. Shall I jump into the fic you sent me?
Yes. Let's do it.
Or shall I say the fan fiction I am 89% sure you wrote? Did you write this fan fiction?
Why don't we
No, you did. You can't lie.
No, I didn't. I swear I didn't. I definitely thought about like stringing you along to see what you said, but then realized that you would just be so critical of this poor person that I was like, wait, no, never mind.
No. Okay, here's the reason I thought this is disappointing. I thought I had sleuthed it. I was sitting here being like, this little gremlin loves wordplay so much that it, like 3 or 4 episodes ago, you were like, I'm gonna send you a fan fiction under a nom de plume, and then it will be what I wrote, and I won't tell you that I did it. And I was like, okay, the author of this fic is nom de plume, this little gremlin.
I wish I was that smart.
Yeah, you are that smart. That's the problem. Remember the first time you tricked me, and I now refuse to be tricked by you ever?
Oh, boy.
Damn it. I wanted you to have written this. Man, I was really excited. I thought I figured it out.
Sorry, nom underscore de plume.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did like this fic, so that, I mean, it would have gone fine. So that's the thing.
Good.
So the Alan that fic didn't write. The fic that Alan didn't write but did send me for this episode is called Proposal. Thank you. By author Nom de Plume, which again would have been the greatest experience if you had actually written this. And it is a Naruto fanfiction, which was also another point in the Alan, did you write this fic favor? Because I know what your fandoms are. So the summary of this fic is: Sakura rolled her eyes. Geez, how romantic. I don't know what Naruto sees in you sometimes. No clue why he wants to marry you at all. Sasuke's retort froze in his throat while Ino hissed out oh, fuck nuggets. Hissed out Sakura's name in anger. Sakura blushed and tried to backpedal, but her agitated state made it clear to Sasuke shit.
Nope.
Sasuke that she hadn't just made it up. Leaning forward, he motioned for Sakura to shut up and calmly asked, Sakura, thank you, to shut up and calmly asked, what are you talking about? Jesus Christ.
I thought it was French you had an issue with.
Well, apparently not. I didn't practice, which is my own downfall. I was so excited about potentially having like Inspector Gadget in this episode that I didn't think to practice the Japanese, which is a mistake. That was the wrong choice.
Oh man.
Anyway, this is a nice short little fic. It is a alternate universe modern setting fic, which is helpful to know. I continued to take notes this episode. My first note is, I know, my first note is ... Alan, is this your fanfic? My second note is cat in all caps. Because one of the first things that happens is that they're like, Naruto like comes home and like closes the apartment door. He's just getting back from a flight and like he reaches down and there's like a little scritchy cat and he gives it little scritches and comes home and Sasuke is asleep. And Sasuke kind of wakes up as Naruto's getting into bed and is like, blah, blah, blah. And Naruto's like, it's fine, don't worry about it. Go back to sleep. And Naruto sort of like quietly is like, hey, marry me. And Sasuke says no. And that's where the conflict begins, friends. My note was, oh no! But also he's asleep, BB. Relax. Because Naruto freaks out. And like that, you think it's going to start off as just like a very sort of like straightforward proposal fic, and it kind of does. But then that just like throws a like crazy wrench into the system. And like Naruto has now lost all confidence. And Sasuke doesn't remember this happening. So conflict.
We love it.
Yeah. So I also made a note that I don't know that I've ever read a fanfic where someone has grappled with whether or not they want to be married, which is hilarious given the fact that that's my life. But yeah, it's just not like a fanfic trope that I get into very often. Mm-hmm. So when you were talking earlier about what you look for in a proposal fic, I was like, oh yeah. And I was also sitting here thinking to myself, like, yeah, and then you wrote about it. So Sasuke skipped ahead a little bit. Sasuke's at a coffee shop and talking to what did I say?
Sasuke.
God damn it. Sasuke? Sasuke. And say the other one. Sakura? Mm-hmm. Okay. I just blanket apologize to all Japanese speaking people. So they're at a coffee shop, like the group. Mm-hmm, all of them. Mm-hmm. Many of them, except Naruto, are at a coffee shop talking shit and hanging out. And somebody gives Sasuke their number. And Sasuke's like, God damn it. Like, this happens all the time. And I'm so over it. And Sakura is like, you may as well just have property of Naruto tattooed across your forehead. And they're talking about Christmas gifts, I think, which also is like such an Alan thing.
Wow. Did I write this fic?
Did you?
I wish I had.
Yeah. I was like, I cannot tell you the number of times I was like, Alan wrote this. Alan wrote this. I know for sure Alan wrote this. Like, I'm positive. So they're talking about like, okay, what did you get Naruto for Christmas and blah, blah, blah. And something spurs Sakura to be like, oh, no, what did he say? Basically, they're talking about Christmas gifts. And then, yeah, somebody's like, it doesn't even matter. Like, you'd be happy with whatever. And Sakura's like, geez, how romantic. I don't even know. Like, why does he want to marry you at all? And Sasuke is like, what? And this is the first time that Sasuke during his like waking hours has been clued into the fact that Naruto plans to propose, and it actually really stuns him, and he's like, do I even want that? Is that a thing that I want? I never considered it before. He has no idea what he's processing feeling wise. Like, he's like, I love Naruto, but are you ready to be married? Is that a thing that you want? I don't know. So the rest of the fic is Sasuke basically just like constantly being worried that the proposal is about to happen, and then it doesn't happen, and he's just like processing that, and he's like, okay, but do I want this? And so for Christmas, like, oh no, it's a birthday gift from Naruto is like a box, and it's like a whole thing, and all their friends are there, and it's
it's also probably worth mentioning that like Christmas is come and gone, and so has like New Year's, Lunar New Year, Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, Easter, all of these holidays have passed by, and Sasuke's like, I thought he was gonna propose.
Yeah. So like a significant amount of time has gone past. Thank you. Mm-hmm. I was unclear on that timeline. But it gets to Sasuke's birthday, and Naruto hands him a box. And so of course Sasuke's like, this is it. The time has come.
It's happening.
I'm here. I don't know how I feel about it, but it's happening. But also, like, why is he just handing me a box and then like chilling out? Like, that's kind of shitty, dude. Like, get yourself together. And then it wasn't the ring. It was a set of cufflinks, like very beautiful cufflinks that he was very happy about. And the whole room of friends is like disappointed, and Sasuke is disappointed. And then he realizes, hey, I'm disappointed, which is a significant moment for him, because he's like, wait a minute. And so he like leaves because he's just like, I don't want to do this in front of other people, but I also don't want him to like think I'm mad. So he like doesn't shut the door behind him, but he's like, wait. And then a couple of people, they start having a conversation in the living room, like Naruto and all the friends, and Sasuke overhears, of course. Eavesdropping as a plot device is delightful. I love when this shit happens. And Itachi's like, all right, so how long are you gonna postpone proposing, Naruto? Like, get your shit together. And Naruto's like, I asked him when he was asleep and he said no, and it like completely shook my confidence or whatever. Like, he said no already, and everyone's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And Naruto's like, well, and I think Sakura's like, or Itachi was like, was Sasuke awake when you asked? And Sakura's like, you're a dumbass. So basically Naruto is just like, it just really threw my confidence. Like, let's not talk about this. Like, this is none of your business. But of course, Sasuke heard all of this. And as Naruto like leaves to like go on a walk and go like cool off, basically, Sasuke realizes he's probably going to the park where they met, which is this like standard cool off spot, and follows after him and is like, this doesn't like look like the store you said you were going to. Which Naruto is, of course, like, okay, so how much did you overhear? Because that was one of the things that I said when I was on my way out. And they have a conversation about, like, the fact that Sasuke has known that the proposal was coming, but that he just, like, didn't know how to feel about it. And, like, you know, there's all of these things that I was like, I just don't know. And Naruto's like, oh, shit. And then Sasuke's like, well, I realized after you gave me the cufflinks that my first response to it not being a ring was disappointment, which tells me that I wanted it to be a ring, which means I want to be married to you. And Naruto's like, dope. Does that mean I should propose to you now? And Sasuke's like, nah. And Naruto's like, what? And then Sasuke's like, no, I'm gonna ask you, will you marry me? Naruto's like, holy shit. Actually, I thought the swearing was a little out of character. I don't go here, so I don't know this. But Naruto's response is, holy shit, Sasuke. Shit, Sasuke, yes. And I was like, okay, like, this does not fit the speech patterns of these characters very much, but okay.
They did just get engaged.
Yeah, but I was like, I'm gonna be hypercritical for a minute in a fandom I have no business being critical in, because why not? That was my only little piece of it. And then of course they're sure. Like, yep, and they're gonna get married, and Sasuke's like, so where's my ring? And like Naruto's like, well, you asked me, so I should be asking where's mine. And Sasuke's like, well, we have to go pick out yours. And it's very cute. And then also the last line is that and the ring could be his belongs to Naruto sign to hopefully keep the baristas from hitting on him. Win-win from Sasuke. Sasuke. Fuck. So it's like very sweet, very quintessential proposal fic. Very exactly what you described at the start of this podcast, so I'm real bitter you didn't write it. But I think, yeah, what I wrote was like, it's cute, sweet, I'm not mad at it.
Great. Love it.
Yeah. So
I will say, I had a bitch of a time. There was like 3 contenders at a certain point to like, okay, this is the proposal. This is the proposal. There was a large number of proposal fics for Teen Wolf, and I was like, well, I can't do that again. Yeah. I did that recently. And then I was super pissed that I had just thrown away Theraflu and you for a sick fic when I was like, damn it, that was a perfect proposal fic. Yep. Which, you know, it's fine. It's still a wonderful fic, and if you're interested in knowing more about it and haven't heard it, then it's in the first season. It's our sick fic episode.
If you go back to our master reading list, which I believe is posted online somewhere, you can follow along with us there and go back to all of the fics that we've talked about.
So I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad you did not dislike it. So what is your rating?
I think this was a solid like 3.8 out of 5.
Nice. Wow.
Great. It was like very enjoyable. It was like a little run of the mill. Like it didn't do anything particularly like outstanding in terms of like being super innovative or creative or anything like that. But like fanfic doesn't have to be that way to be good.
Sure.
So, I mean, I had a good time. Again, I don't go here. This is not my fandom. So I bet if you were really into that ship and like really into proposal fic, that would hit such a spot for you. So
it's very nice. Yeah. I will say I agree with most of those points. And one of the biggest reason I went with this one over some of the others that I chosen was because, and you brought it up, was I in all the proposal fics I read, there was never a moment of like one of the parties being like, do I want to be engaged? Do I want to marry this person? And I think that it's really healthy to like have doubt, you know, and to explore that and be like, yeah, like you can love someone with all your heart and still not know that, be unsure of what you want with your future.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like I sort of alluded to this earlier, but I have a partner, which is like a new thing that, well, it's not new to me, but it's new to the podcast. Stop it. I'm like, you can't see me now, but like, I'm just slowly like gripping my shoulders in stress talking about this. But one of the things that I've really sort of like had to come to terms with is like having a real conversation with myself about having one vision of what your life looks like for a very long time, particularly as a queer woman, particularly as an asexual woman, and then having somebody come into your life who you're like willing to take that vision and like change it for, and being like, oh, what things about the sort of assumptions I've made about my life are going to stay, and what parts of that like are now a conversation between me and this other person. And that is such an adult level up.
It's growth.
Do I have an answer for any of those questions? No, don't ask me for them because I don't have them. Just, the answer is go to therapy and talk to your therapist about it. Thank you, Tanya.
Go to therapy,
yeah.
Yes.
The answer to every question is always, I don't know, go to therapy.
I don't know, ask your therapist.
Yeah, basically. But like having those conversations, it's not like the one thing that I'm learning about having a relationship in real life versus sort of just like reading about them in fanfic is that like so much of what makes a relationship work is just having doubts, but then like owning them and being like, okay, well, we have to talk about this. Like we have to figure this out. We have to talk through what we both want and we have to be honest about it. Otherwise, this is not going to work. Like things don't just like magically happen, which is what fanfic would have you believe. So yeah, that's been super fun. So reading this, I was like, rude. And that's all I'll say on that. Also, go to therapy, guys.
Go to therapy, yeah. It's really helpful.
Find yourself a James or a Tanya. And
we love James and Tanya.
We do. Honest to God, we do. Because without her, I mean, honestly, without her, I'd be in a much worse off mental state than I am now.
Same.
So, anyway. Well, this was fun. Yeah. Like, how do I get the fuck out of this conversation? I showed vulnerability for 2 minutes and I hated it. Anyway.
Oh, accurate.
Yep. That's Proposal Fic.
That was a very successful episode of Proposal Fic, I think.
Very successful.
I loved it.
Very short little episode. Very, like...
Very fluffy.
Yeah.
And thank God, because that's what I needed.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I cannot deal with any angst.
Yeah, I don't know that, like, to be perfectly honest with you, I haven't really been reading a lot of fanfic right now because I just can't take it. Like, I can't...
Yeah.
It's not the thing that's bringing me comfort right now. The only thing that's bringing me comfort is, like, getting away from my computer and doing things like I've been cleaning my apartment. I've been making a lot of stuff with my sewing machine and like making clothes. I've been decorating the shit out of my apartment for Halloween.
Yes.
Because it is almost Pride 2 Electric Spookaloo, and by almost I mean I started decorating for Halloween in August.
Oh my God.
Because I was just like, fuck it, everything is terrible, I may as well get a pumpkin.
Oh sure, but I want to start celebrating Christmas in November, and suddenly like, no, don't skip Thanksgiving.
Well, Alan, I didn't ask you. Also, that was pre-pandemic. I decided that Halloween is from September 1st until Thanksgiving Day this year.
For me, Christmas starts November 1st.
That's fine. This year it's fine. I give you a pass now.
We'll see where we are next year.
Yeah, we will reconvene in like July of 2021 to see how we feel about Christmas then. But yeah, I was like, you know what? Fanfic is not the thing that's bringing me joy right now. It's just not. So like this was a kind of nice... I don't think I could have taken anything more
Agreed.
more difficult right this second to read. So thank you for being gentle.
Yeah, thank you. Well, thank past us for choosing such a gentle tag.
So good.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the episode, friends.
It is. I do think, I don't know, have we mentioned it on social media? I'm not good about looking at Twitter.
Yeah, I know, because I'm the only one that runs it. It's fine.
It's true. But you're the more personable one of us.
Yeah, cute. Mm-hmm.
Have we mentioned that AwesomeCon has unfortunately been canceled for us?
Oh, yeah.
At least.
Yeah. So I think I posted about this on Twitter, but just to like reaffirm that y'all know this, we were originally supposed to be panelists at AwesomeCon DC this year, which was going to be dope, and for very, very good reasons, they have decided not to move forward with the con this year, which means we are hoping to go back for AwesomeCon 2021, should that be a thing. Again, don't have high hopes on that, but should it happen, we will try to be there. We will do our damnedest. So unfortunately, AwesomeCon not happening, but we did have an idea, and I might put a like Twitter poll out in the world to see what y'all think about this.
Yeah.
We were thinking that around the time of what AwesomeCon should have been, so in December, we might do some kind of like live Q&A, live event, something to like engage with y'all the way that we had anticipated being able to engage in person, but like through the internet. So if that's something you're interested in, keep an eye out on our social media. I'll probably put a post out like, do you want us to do an Instagram live thing? Do you want us to do like, I don't know, I think that's the only idea we had. Maybe between the recording of this episode and the posting of that social media thing, I will have come up with a second idea, but I doubt it. So would you be interested in that is a question. And then also,
yeah, like an online event where you can chat.
Yeah. And if so, like what form would that take? Like, do you want to ask us questions? Do you want to just like have like a Zoom meeting? Like, do we want to do a Zoom hangout? There we go. I had a second idea.
There it is. Excellent.
Do we want to do like a Zoom hangout? Like, is that a thing that we want to do? So we wanted to find a way to connect with you guys since we can't do that this year, which is a bummer. So keep an eye out on social media for that, because I still think that would be a really cute and good idea, and I think we should do
I
it.
agree.
We just don't want it to just be us in an empty Zoom hangout.
Accurate. So let us know your thoughts, and it'll be shortly. It'll probably be around the time when we finish this season 2, right?
Yeah, just about. I mean, I think we usually go through the end of December in terms of episodes, but it'll be after we're done recording, probably.
True. Maybe we'll get a sneak peek.
Maybe. Ooh, that's a good idea. Speaking of sneak peeks, like, if we did a Patreon, would y'all do a Patreon? Is that a thing? It's not like I have the episodes ready any sooner than they get posted, but...
True, it's true.
But, like, if we did a Patreon, would you guys give us, like, $2? So we could just keep doing this, because that'd be nice.
We'd appreciate it.
Yeah. Maybe I could get my shit together enough to edit things in time for sneak peeks and things.
You know what? I bet if you had $2.
Yeah, if you gave me $2, I'd do it, because I'd feel really obligated to like get my shit together and do it. So there's a thought. So those are the 2 questions we have for you. Is 1, do you want to do like a live Q&A thing? 2, if we did a Patreon, would you subscribe to it? Mm-hmm. The first question is more real than the Patreon question.
But both are fair questions.
Both are fair questions. My third question is, can we get Hale Appleman on this show?
Hale Appleman, if we gave you $2, would you come on our podcast? Oh my God, Aaron, have we mentioned that? Well, again, if you're on Twitter, you know, but like Hale Appleman interacted with the Fic List.
Oh my God. Okay, so I don't know if this is appropriate for this podcast, like to actually speculate like wildly like this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So I am thirsty, and I decided to just like shoot my shot, and was like, okay, there's this one account that we follow. It's called, like, I think it's Podchaser. And they posted a question that was like, if you found out that any celebrity like listened to your podcast, and like who would make you freak out the most? So who do you think I tagged? Like, what do you think happened in this situation?
You tagged Chris Evans.
I did tag Chris Evans. I tagged a bunch of people because I was like shooting my shot. And I was like, what's the worst that could happen? It gets lost in a bunch of like tags of these famous people that they don't read, so who cares?
True.
So it was like, the first tag I did was Chris Evans, Hale Appleman, Dan Levy, who I desperately want to talk to. Like, genuinely, Dan Levy, if you ever hear this. I don't think you will, because Emmy winner Dan Levy is so too cool for this. And Noelle Stevenson, who wrote She-Ra. I would definitely love to talk to them too. And yeah, so it was originally those 4. And then I forgot about Lev Grossman, because I'm an asshole and I forgot Lev Grossman. So I instead of deleting the tweet, I just added, I was like, oh, also Lev Grossman, like, smiley face. And Hale Appleman liked the tweet about Lev, to which my brain imploded. Because I was like, what does this mean? Does this mean anything? I was like, are you just liking the tweet? Does it mean that you know that Lev Grossman listens to our podcast? Do you listen to this podcast? And now you just wanted like to acknowledge the fact that we shout out Lev Grossman, who you like and is your friend. Hale, you damn broke me, okay?
Hale Appleman, if you're listening, go ahead and contact us at theficlist@gmail.com.
I mean, genuinely though, because like I have the interview questions ready to go. Like, I'm ready to drop that shit. Like, that has been, I was like, I'm gonna do some intention setting in the universe bullshit. I don't even believe in that, but I was like, if you dream it, they will come. So I like wrote all the questions out, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna like put it's in a folder called interview questions, and it's titled Hale Appleman interview. And should it ever happen, I am ready. So ready. And we can do it over Skype, because we've now been doing this podcast over Skype for like 6 months.
We have indeed.
Yeah, I think what probably happened is that he saw that answer, thought it was funny, and then liked the Lev Grossman one. So that's probably what happened. It also, I think he really enjoys sending the fans into a tizzy.
Yeah.
I think that's like a thing he enjoys doing, which like I would too, because like, why not? So yeah, I mean, I think he's a little shit on Twitter sometimes, and I think that's what happened. But I'm still not recovered.
Good times.
Yep. That was a really long story for not a super consequential end result.
I think that's I think that's our first milestone as a podcast. We have had quite a few, but that's a big one.
Yeah. It's like, that's it.
You all know our love of Hale Appleman on this show. So the fact that he has interacted,
it's a foundational tenet, yeah.
He has interacted with our account in any way, I think we can start backing it up. Season 3, final season.
Yep.
3 seasons and a movie.
Yeah, and then we're done. And then we're good.
And then we're done.
See, wait, Hale Appleman play one of us in a movie?
He'd have to play you.
He would have to play me. It would be really funny.
I think it would be hilarious.
I would laugh for 17,000 years.
Agreed.
Oh my god. Okay, we have to stop talking about this before it gets really weird. Where can people find us on the internet, Alan?
Well, they can find us at the aforementioned Twitter. Go over there and see the momentous tweet that...
Oh yeah, because I screenshotted it and posted it, guys.
Pin it. You should just pin that.
I have that shit saved. Don't worry about it.
So you can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook if that's more your jam. It is very dead. So be forewarned.
It was never alive.
But it's there, and that is important.
Yeah, 100%.
You can find us on Tumblr.
Yep. Slightly more active. I posted a thing on Tumblr that has the most notes of anything we've ever posted.
Yes.
Was a screenshot, speaking of screenshots, of the time I accidentally sent my mother a link to very, very explicit Queliot porn via text message. And I screamed. I was trying to send her a link to a condo I was looking at because I like property and I like looking at property listings on the websites. And instead, what I had saved in my copy paste was Queliot porn.
Who were you pasting this to?
My mother.
I meant the Queliot porn.
Oh, that was just because it was on a Tumblr post of like ones to read.
Oh, I see.
And so there's a Tumblr that's like AO3 feed of the day, Queliot fan fictions. But the problem is now there's like new formatting, so they don't link the thing directly. You have to copy and paste the link, which is super annoying. Actually, if you run that Tumblr and you listen to this podcast, can you please fix that? Because it's really annoying. So I copied and pasted it to like read it later. And I didn't realize that was what was still in my copy paste history, or like I didn't accurately I think I just hit the wrong button, so I didn't copy and paste the thing. And I just like typed it so fast that I looked and my immediate response was, nope, not that link. And then I fixed it and sent her the condo. I don't know if she clicked it or not. I don't know.
What if you've converted another person in your life to be a fan of Queliot?
I don't think so. Porn. I don't think that would do it. To be fair, my mom reads really smutty romance novels, so it would not be the weirdest thing she's ever read, but like still did not intend to send that to my mother. Screamed for about 30 years and then immediately posted the screenshot on Tumblr for notes.
So funny.
Yeah, because people responded, they were like, oh no, and I was like, it's fine.
It's an innate fear I think many of us have had.
Yeah, I was like, this is a Tumblr post, like this is absolutely a Tumblr post, which is why I posted it. But that's our most popular post on Tumblr by far. So
go onto our Tumblr and look for that. Reblog it. Love it.
While you're there, reblog all of our episode links.
Please do.
Yeah, but actually.
And you can find us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on SoundCloud, on Podchaser, many different platforms.
We're now on Podbean. Which I was like, I don't know what this is, but okay.
We're expanding. We're trying to make sure anyone who wants to has access to listen to us.
Oh, Stitcher too. We're on Stitcher.
Stitcher, yes. So feel free to like rate us, review us, leave us feedback anywhere that we can see it, so that other people can see it and know that this is a worthwhile show. Yeah,
it's real fun, guys. We have a great time.
It's true.
Even if it's just us that's here. It's us and like Evelyn in Portrait of Emmy. Like honestly, let's be real. That's like who's having a good time over here.
So
and Caitlin. How dare I forget Caitlin?
I know.
What kind of garbage human am I? I mean, Jesus.
True.
Anyway, hey.
I'm kidding. Remember that we have a master list where you can follow along to all the fics we read in each episode, and that we also have a Google form for you guys to submit any recommendations you may have. We have a few currently in the docket, which I'm so excited about.
Yeah. So like in between the recording of the last episode where I was like, the only person who's used this is Caitlin, and then the posting of that same episode, we got like 50 recommendation links, which was great, but made me feel like such an asshole. It's like, oops. So there's a lot to go through, and we're stoked about it. I mean, again, mostly Evelyn, but also Mai from Twitter. Hi, shout out, love you too. And like just a lot of people who like sent us really cool shit. So we're going through it. We're gonna try to figure out what to do with it. But like, keep sending us stuff because it's great to get pushed out of our comfort zone and out of our regular fandoms.
Love
it's
it.
Awesome.
Yes. Thank you for listening.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Bye for real though.